Hey everybody, my name is John King. I'm the CEO of Cross Company, and I would love to tell you a story about how important it is to really know your customers and who's buying from you, and you never know where it's going to lead. This is a story that we call the $13 million bench scale. This is an OHAS bench scale, and many of you know that one of the things that we do are precision measurement and power tool repair and calibration services. And way back in 2002, I was working on some data and on a big long spreadsheet going through a number of invoices, and I go through all the invoices of people that were buying from us in a given month. And I see BMW. Now back in 2002, we had only been in the calibration business for probably 5 years or so, maybe 3 years. And I see this invoice from BMW for $75. What BMW had done is they had a bench scale very similar to this, and they had lost a foot, just like this. It had come off of the scale. And when they called the factory to find out, hey, I need to get a replacement foot for this, they said, hey, well, the division across is the distributor for that product. You need to buy that from them, and they gave them all the information. So, of course, the person at BMW calls up our precision measurement division, which is J.A. King, and said, hey, I need to buy a foot. Our inside salespeople take that call. They find out what the part number is. We fulfill that order incredibly quickly. We do an incredibly good job of them. It's a guy named Jason Jensen, who's still here, and we took care of that order, and there was an invoice for it. So I'm going through these long spreadsheets, and this is a really great story about you never know when you're going through data like that what you're going to find. And having only been in the business for probably 3 or 4 years at that time, you see BMW come across, a Fortune 500 automotive manufacturer, and you think, wow, we need to talk to them. That's exactly the kind of customer we would like to sell to. So pull up the invoice, look at whose name, bought a $75 foot, this guy named Rob Lopez. So I called up Rob Lopez and said, hey, I'm sure you're not the person at BMW who is responsible for calibration services, but if you know who is, I would certainly love to talk to him. He said, well, I happen to be the person responsible for calibration. This is the CalLab, and it's the bench scale that we use. And I appreciate you getting it to me very quickly. We are not looking to change at all, but I'd be glad to listen to your pitch. So I make an appointment to go to Greenville, South Carolina, go flying down there. And as you can imagine, I'm all excited talking to BMW about calibration and give that presentation about the entire value proposition, how we do this business, what we do, and what our capabilities are. And Rob shakes my hand at the end of that and says, yeah, that's great. I really appreciate that. There's some interesting things there, but we're really not looking to switch. And lo and behold, I think it was probably 2 weeks later, Rob gets a call from Mercedes-Benz in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and asks them, who do you use for calibration services, because we are about to put that out to bid. And in fact, it was not just calibration services, but power tool repair, which is repairing torque tools and taking care of the torque assembly products there in the scope of work. And Rob said to him, well, we use Transcat, but we are considering, we just listened to a guy named John King with J.A. King at the time, and you should probably listen to that pitch. So Mercedes invited us to bid on the calibration and power tool repair services. We were competing against 9 other companies in a business that we had just been gaining experience in, and lo and behold, we won that bid process against 9 other companies. And when in the summer of 2003, we were awarded that contract for, at the time, there were 5 people full-time at the Mercedes plant. We spent a lot of time down there learning that business very, very quickly. And we started to do a very good job of that, and that business started to grow. Then an engineer for Mercedes-Benz changes jobs and goes to Nissan in Canton, Mississippi, and where he became responsible for a number of power tools there and was not satisfied with the job that was being done at the time, and said, hey, we need to get these guys in here. They know what they're doing. The guys that we used at Mercedes. And so Nissan went through a bid process in Canton, Mississippi, and also opened up that bid process to Smyrna, Tennessee, which is our main plant. And lo and behold, we were successful in that as well. And we were awarded that agreement in 2006, and that was for Canton and for Smyrna. And interestingly enough, in the bid process for Smyrna, which at the time was only calibration services, and repair services. There was the QC audit person, and the QC audit person heard that we did that for Mercedes-Benz at the time and said, hey, you have experience with this? And we said yes. And we were awarded that agreement as well. And then Rob Lopez calls back and says, hey, we would like to talk to you about taking over our calibration services. We were awarded that agreement. Then BMW in 2008 chooses to outsource their power tool repair and torque audit program, as they were using internal sources at the time, but they needed every one of their associates focused on other projects. And so they wanted to outsource that. They called J.E. King because they knew we had done that for Mercedes and Nissan. And it's a really, really neat story that if you're paying, you never know, one, when you're looking through a long spreadsheet of a number of different customer data, what you're going to find in that and how you really need to pay attention to your customers. Because Fortune 500 company buys a $75 foot. That business for us now, for Cross, is $13 million annual business. It involves 17 different locations, about 190 people and 190 employee owners. And those now employee owners, when they are focused on taking care of and adding value to Nissan, to BMW, to RJ Reynolds, to John Deere, to Bosch Rexroth, and all those customers, when they're adding value to them, they're adding value to themselves. And that's a wonderful place to be. And that's the story of the $13 million bench scale, because you never know.